Hi everyone, welcome back to Savvy Social Events. It's Jazz. I wanted to come to you today and talk to you about the last event that I planned this year in 2018. Talk to you just about how I planned it, walk you through that process, how it went, what was the outcome of it, and my lessons learned and things that I would do differently next time. I don't believe in mistakes, I believe in lessons. So I wanted to share them with you and give you some ideas, so if you have a similar event to the one that I'm going to talk to you about, you can use them for your event as well. This video will be especially helpful if you are planning a fundraiser, if you're planning a walk, or if you're planning an event for any organizations that works heavily with young people. The event that I planned was for Rise Sister Rise. They are a local organization here in Columbus, Ohio. They do phenomenal work for Black girls and around resiliency and putting Black girls at promise. It was their kickoff event for the I Am Good Enough campaign, so it was really important that we came together and did a really great job of spreading the word and letting people know about this campaign and all the additional projects that were going to be a part of it. So the kickoff event was a walk. It was a walk within a walk in partnership with NAMI Franklin County. I am really proud to say that we had over 100 people show up for our walk within a walk. We raised over $3,000 and all of the proceeds went to support the Black Girls Think Tank and all of their upcoming projects, as well as the Ending the Silence program, which is a part of NAMI Franklin County. So the way I went about planning this event was very similar to how I've planned all of my events in the past. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll have a pretty good idea of my process. But please go back and check and see some of those videos if you're interested in specific details. But I'm just going to kind of give you a brief overview today. So as with every event planning project, you always want to meet with the potential client, talk about what they need, when they need it, and if your skill sets and your timeline matches theirs, then absolutely go ahead and take that project. In addition, as with every other event planning project you always want to make sure you have a contract. And that contract needs to be signed and dated before you begin any work on the project. So some things you want to make sure that you have in your contract are especially, due dates, when things need to get done, what the event is about, liability insurance, payment information, all the nuts and bolts of the regular contract, especially a cancellation policy in case anything happens and you're unable to fulfill this event. I also develop a total event planning timeline, and it outlines all of the things that I need to accomplish on a weekly basis for the client and for this event. It's a great way to keep not only yourself in alignment with what you're planning to do, but also your client, so they can see ahead of time what's going to be accomplished and by when. It's a really great document. If you don't have one, I would definitely highly suggest that you start creating one for yourself and your clients as well. I am a huge advocate for planning events with a team, a reliable and responsible team. I never plan an event on my own. I always have people helping me, which I think is critical. You cannot do it all as an event planner. So it's important to make sure that you have a good, strong team behind you to help make sure that everything happens. With this event, because it's with an organization that works with youth, I had not only myself, but I had another adult volunteer plan the event with me, in addition to 2 teens that were part of the Black Girls Think Tank, and they were co-chairing this walk within a walk. Whenever you're working with a team, you want to make sure that you assign tasks based off of everybody's strengths. So, because there were 2 adults and 2 youth, there were some things that as the adults we needed to be responsible for, and then there were things that we had the teens be responsible for as well to gain leadership skills. But what they could do was very limited because they are minors and there are only certain things that we can allow them to do that is within the law to have minors do. Myself and my adult partner, we did more of the overall process planning. We did more of the specific things around due dates and making sure things got accomplished. And with the young people, we had them focus more on marketing and more on spreading the word. Because they had a good contact list with school, teachers, other students, other girls within the Black Girls Think Tank, and so forth. With marketing, I did all of the standard things that I always do. We posted the events on all social media platforms using a flyer that we had designed. We also did website updates, and Rise Sister Rise also has a newsletter of supporters, so we made sure that we were consistently contacting them as well about the Walk Within a Walk. We also worked with a videographer, so we had 2 videos created to support this walk. The videos featured the girls from the Black Girls Think Tank talking about why this event was important to them and why people needed to come out and support mental health in the lives of Black girls. We also did a Facebook Live to promote on Facebook. And the reason why we did Facebook is because the audience we were trying to reach out to were adults. And so it's really important, as you know from all of my past videos, to know who your audience is so that you can contact them directly with the event information. NAMI-Franklin County also had a great fundraising website that we were able to use. And through that website, we could have people sign up for the walk, people could donate directly to us, and we could also give them specific thank yous if they signed up for the walk. It was a wonderful platform. We tracked who donated, how much money we raised towards our goal, and so forth. Additional marketing that we had included custom t-shirts for all of the girls who showed up for the walk. We also had t-shirts for the real women who showed up to volunteer. And we also had a Rise Sister Rise banner, standing banner, a banner for the girls to use during the walk, as well as posters. Because this event included a lot of teenagers and I had 2 teenagers on my planning team with me, I wanted to also talk about some tips for working with teens. If you haven't done that before, or if it's something that you'd like to do in the future. One of the major things you want to keep in mind when you're working with teens is confidentiality and parent permission. So this can deal with anything from whether or not you are allowed to take pictures of teens, whether or not you're allowed to take videos of them because they are minors, as well as how you can communicate with them and reach out to them. Sometimes you can reach out to them directly, and other times you need to go through their parent. The main thing that you want to do is make sure you have parent permission for everything, just to be safe. In my scenario, I was able to contact the girls directly because we did have parent permission. I was also working with older teenagers, so the Rise Sister Rise Black Girls Think Tank includes girls from 11 to 18. So 11-year-olds may not have a cell phone, they may not be on social media. So I wouldn't necessarily assume that because you're working with teens that you know exactly how to reach out to them, because you might be surprised, which I was totally surprised working with the teens that I was working with. So, I assumed they were on social media and that they had their own cell phones and the like. Well, some of them did, some of them didn't. And they weren't necessarily on social media like I assumed they would be. They were mostly on platforms that I am not on. So they were on Snapchat and Twitter and Instagram, which I am on Instagram, but not so much the other 2 platforms. And in fact, they actually preferred email. They were very responsive to email messages that I sent, as well as text. So, don't make any assumptions when you're working with teens in terms of where you can reach out to them or where they're spending a lot of their time. Ask them specifically what works best for them. The other thing you want to consider, which is something that I think is often overlooked, is whether or not you are a mandated reporter. A mandated reporter means that if you are working with teens and you find out that they are experiencing abuse or violence, or have experienced some form of abuse or violence, you may be legally responsible for reporting that information to the appropriate authorities. So make sure that you check in with your client and understand what types of mandates you are under as the event planner. So during the walk, I thought it was really important to make sure that the girls were active and they had something to do, because after all, Rise Sister Rise is an organization that works to build the leadership skills of Black girls, as well as providing them a safe, supportive environment to grow into healthy young women. So we didn't want them to just kind of be standing around during the walk and not having anything to do. We did have an information table, and so what we did was we challenged the girls to talk to every single person at the walk. And it was a way for them to build their networking skills. It was a way for them to build their public communication skills and just kind of get them out of their shells and help them figure out, how would I spread the word about Rise Sister Rise to a complete stranger? So we challenged them to talk to everyone and make sure that everyone had a brochure about Rise Sister Rise in their hand so that they could practice talking about the program and what it means to them. The girls also participated in 2 television interviews. They did a really great job, and if you've ever done an interview, it is such a great opportunity to really hone in on your interviewing skills. So we made sure that the girls had those opportunities to do as well. At the walk, we did have an information table, and I think that it's important that when you have an information table, you make the table inviting and welcoming. Give people a reason to come to your table and find out what you're doing and what you've got going on. So some of the things that we did was we had free cookies for everyone that came by, which food is always a good thing to get people to come by, even if you have just a bowl of candy or a bowl of suckers. We also had items for sale. We were selling some of the additional Rise Sister Rise t-shirts that we had available. We had free information for people to take, and they could sign up for our newsletter to get additional information in the future. We also had our banner, which pretty much posed as a photo op opportunity for folks. So this event was a walk within a walk, but it was also a fundraiser. And fundraisers are really critical events for people. If you've ever done a fundraiser or participated in a fundraiser, there's lots of information out there, but I'll share with you some of the things that I think are most important when you're doing a fundraising-based event. Fundraising is all about relationship building. The main thing that you want to do is to reach out to the people who you know are already supporters of your cause. It's a lot easier to get support from people who have already shown you support in the past than it is to create new support. You definitely don't want to over ask the people that are your supporters, but you also want to make sure that you stay in consistent communication with them. When it comes to what your ask is, make sure that your ask is very specific. I would not give a vague ask. If you need money, offer a suggested donation amount, which is what we did for the Rise Sister Rise campaign. We had the suggested donation amount right next to a very simple button that they could press on the website and donate immediately and directly, which leads me to my next tip, which is to make whatever support you're looking for, whether it's monetary support or time support, donations, whatever the case may be, make it easy for them to do. Another tip that I have is that it's a lot easier and people are more willing to donate, whatever it is, time or money, when you make a direct ask. If it's possible to meet people face to face, whether it's at an event or whether it's over the phone, definitely make that direct ask, because people are more likely, when they see your face, when they hear your voice, when they hear the passion that you have for your cause, to actually take that step forward and make a donation or donate their time. If you make that direct ask, or if you contact people consistently and they're still not able to give you their time or their money, then ask them to help spread the word. That is free and that is very easy. Ask them to email folks, ask them to post it on Facebook, post it on Instagram, share your flyer, whatever the case may be, so that even if they can't do the main ask, they're still spreading the word and they're still giving you some form of value. So as with every event, there are things that I've learned, there are things that I would do the same, and there are things that I would do differently. So I wanted to talk to you about my lessons learned for this event and share them with you so that you can use them for an event that you might plan that's similar to this one. The first thing I want to say is that I was offered this event very last minute. I was told about this event and asked to help 2 months before June 9th, which was the day of the walk. Now, with all of my event planning tips, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that when you're planning an event, my suggestion, and this is just for a regular community-based event, is to give yourself at least 4 months to plan it. when it comes to a fundraiser and when it comes to a walk, I would give myself an entire year to plan this event, okay? I had 2 months. But it wasn't as bad as it sounds. I did have a lot of help with Franklin County. This was a walk within a walk. A lot of things had already been planned. We kind of were able to just show up the day of. But it was still a lot of work, and it was still a lot that Rise Sister Rise wanted to have accomplished within 2 months of letting people know that we were going to be a part of this walk, and then asking people to sign up to walk, to donate, etc. I would not have not taken this opportunity. I still would have helped out. I already had a long-standing relationship with Rise Sister Rise. I had done an event with them last year called Girls Just Want to Have Fun. It turned out great. The girls that showed up were phenomenal. The event was just a wonderful, delightful event for girls just to celebrate Black Girl Magic. So, yes, I would have taken this event and I would have done it all over again. Even with the last minute request. The lesson, however, in taking a last minute request for me was to make sure, knowing that you have such a tight timeline, that you are very clear on what you can and cannot do within that time frame. What people want to have accomplished versus what can reasonably be accomplished sometimes are two totally different things. And as the event planner, it is okay for you to step up and say, I am a professional, I know how these things go, and there are some things that I can and cannot do given the limitation, and not being afraid to speak up for yourself and say that. So just know that if you are in that type of a timeline bind, do not be afraid to speak up and be very clear on what you can and cannot accomplish given such a tight timeline. The other lesson that I learned is, again, because of the timing, to make sure that any updates or any changes that take place with this event are communicated to you as quickly as possible, because you don't have a lot of time to clean up mistakes that are made or to adjust things as they go. So every single week, be in communication with your client, be in communication with your team, make sure what's happening, make sure what's going on, make sure if there are any updates. My last lesson learned is really around the event itself. And one little piece that I wish I had done differently, and of course I came up with the idea after the event was over. But at the end of the walk, the girls had finished walking and they came back, and we just kind of fizzled and went our separate ways, and things just ended. But I wish we would have come up with a closeout, wrap-up type of activity we could have done with the girls. So I would have done 3 things differently. One, I would have had ice cold water and a nice healthy refreshment like fruit or breakfast bars and that sort of thing, waiting for the girls at the table so that we could kind of give them to them as a congratulations for ending the walk. The other thing I would have done differently is have us come back together in a group and do a cool down and stretch. Now, we did do a warm-up and stretch before the walk because a lot of the girls were actually really concerned that they wouldn't make it through the 2 miles. There's only 2 miles. A 5K is normally 3 miles. But a lot of the girls were not athletes. They were not, used to being physically active for such a consistent long time. So we did a warm-up and stretch to kind of help them ease their way into the walk. And I wish we would have done a cool down and stretch at the end of the walk. Not only because it was a healthy thing for the girls to do and a safe thing for them to do, but also because it would have had us come together again and been able to do my third idea, which was to have just a check-in, a congratulations to the girls who finished the walk, and just to be able to thank them for all of their commitment and dedication throughout the entire event. They did do a phenomenal job of spreading the word and coming up with suggestions on how we can market. They were great. They were phenomenal. And so it would have been nice to have us all come together and just thank the girls for that. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope I gave you some really good tips. I do want to give a huge shout out to Rise Sister Rise, to the Black Girls Think Tank, and to all of the women and volunteers who came out the day of. I had more volunteers than I needed, and I was so thankful for that. I'm also thankful to all the people who came out for the walk, all the people who donated money. It was such a great turnout, and I'm really proud of the work that we were able to accomplish. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it gave you some really good tips that you can use if you're ever working with youth, if you're ever planning a fundraiser or planning a walk. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, and check back for my next video. I will be coming back to you again soon. Thanks so much for watching.